But this,
Yeah, hey, how you doing, Sophia? How you doing today?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you, Kayo?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. How's your day been so far?
It's been good, thanks.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So go ahead and let the viewers know who you are and what you do and why you do it, Sophia.
hmm Well, I'm a trained sexologist and a behavioral scientist and also a couples therapist.
Okay,
And
okay.
I run Mhm.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. I run my own business. So I coach and guide both individuals and couples.
Okay,
So in
okay.
relationships, sexual relationships, healing, everything that involves how to be a human and interacting with other people in an intimate way.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, how did you get into that, and what made you choose that as something like what is the reason why you chose to go into that field?
Mm. Well, I wanted to study psychology from the beginning, but then you have to have like the best grades to get into psychology. So I didn't have that. So the next like level was behavioral scientist, but that I also found that very good because it's much broader. So I've also studied sociology and different kinds of human behavior, also anthropology studies. So that was really interesting. And I also wanted to not only help people who are like needing of help, but also to educate people and to teach people. So I feel that there is a big gap in sexual education and education in how our mind works. So that's a really fun part of it.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, so like beyond psychology, this led you to be able to explore different avenues of interacting with people, and now you've discovered how you can help people in different ways, including their relationships, their issues in their sex and other areas as well. Excellent,
Yeah,
excellent. So,
exactly.
like we all do, we've all had struggles in previous relationships and things that we've struggled with. What would you say some of your struggles have been in previous relationships, and how did you navigate through that?
I would say communication. That's the most common issue I would say in relationships. And I was married for 13 years previously and had children in that relationship. And that partner wasn't good at communicating his feelings, and he couldn't express his emotions. So he was very closed off. So I would say that made it difficult for us to have a deep, intimate connection. And that was something that I missed. But that was also something, because usually when we choose especially our first relationships, it's most often a reflection of our parents or our role models, so to say. So what kind of relationships have we seen? What have been modeled for us? And then also depending on what you choose in a partner, maybe deep connection wasn't one of the things that I knew was so important because I've never seen it or felt it or experienced it. So that was something that after I divorced, I decided that I only want to date men who are uh, that are communicative, that are in contact with their feelings and emotions, and that wants to have a deep and intimate connection.
Right, right, right. Like 13 years is a lengthy period of time, especially if you're not in a good communication with people. So, coming through that and coming out of that, what was it like to now start being able to find people to commute that are a good fit for communication and things like that? Because you're so used to being with someone that wasn't so communicative, it might have affected the way you communicate, or would you say it didn't have an effect on the way you communicated, or what was the transition like for you?
It didn't affect my way of communicating because I've always been very verbal and I've never been the person who holds back. So communication has always been one of my strong sides, but it wasn't met. It was like I was talking to a wall. So now that I decided that I don't want to talk to walls any longer, I only met men who could meet me in on that level of communication, and that was really like, wow, this is how it's supposed to be. Like it was such a big difference, and I could really feel like the love was just flowing, in and out
Right,
through
right.
through the people that I met instead of just this hitting this wall.
Right, right, right. And like speaking on communication, like it varies on different levels and degrees. What was like the main types of communication that you were really missing out on in the relationship over 13 years that you then were able to do when you started dating other men after the relationship?
I would say all the different types of communication and also understanding people's love languages. That's also very good when you go into a relationship, understanding what is this person's love language and what is mine, and also getting to understand each other because then you can meet each other. Because most often you just assume or you just approach the other person in the way that you want to be approached.
Right, right.
So like what my love language is I have yeah, but I think my foremost love language is physical touch, but I also like words. I also like appreciation. I missed all the things like being romantic, buying your woman flowers, or writing a love note, and also this physical part of affection. Some men who are really like closed off, intimate, they only get intimate with a woman when they want sex. But me and most women, we want intimacy throughout the whole day, that it's not sexual. Like we want to feel the love and the connection through touch.
Mm.
So that was like the foremost thing that I was missing. And when I felt that with a man who was really touchy, I was like, wow, this just fills my soul.
Right, right. No, excellent, excellent. Speaking
Mhm.
about intimacy, like there are women that have been in long-term relationships that haven't been so intimate, and after coming out of that, because it's been so long and their intimacy has been suppressed so much, they tend to feel a sense of shame towards like their sexuality and wanting intimacy because they feel like it's sort of like wrong to want that because they've been trained to not like experience that type of thing, right? So, what would you say to women that are experiencing this type of shame when it comes to their intimacy, and how can they become more expressive when it comes to their intimacy?
God, that is a tough nut to crack. It's just not one thing. Like
Right,
you also need to connect to yourself first. Like that's the first thing. You need to connect to your own pleasure and to your body first, and just the feeling of being a sexual and sensual woman before you are able to meet another person in that. Because no man will give you that. You have to find that yourself within yourself.
mm.
Uh, so yeah, that's there's
Oh,
then I know there are many different types of practices you can do and rituals and so on to connect with yourself.
okay.
But
Yeah,
mm,
and for women that like I'm maybe not aware of like these type of practices, and they're not sure of how they can connect with themselves, what would you say are some of the ways they can go about starting to reconnect with themselves?
mm. Well, there are several people who works with this. Myself, for example. So getting help is really good because also getting all the tips that actually work. But then you also have to find your own way, what suits yourself, of course. But one thing that I would say that's easy, well, not easy, but you can do it by yourself. That is starting to be more sensual and more loving and more caring towards yourself and your body.
Right.
So being more sensual when you take care of yourself, when you touch yourself, in every way that you when you usually like normally when you go to the shower. This is an example that I give. Like instead of just using the soap and just washing yourself,
Mhm.
you like use the soap to discover your body, to feel your body, to feel how soft it is, how nice it is. So really like getting in love with your own body, like that feeling.
Right, right, right. So in essence, appreciating yourself with your own physical touch, so to speak,
Mhm.
like actually appreciating the person you are and like the body you're in, and essentially loving yourself before anyone else can love you. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, yes. And also changing from I there's a difference between masturbating and self-pleasure. Like masturbating is really goal-oriented, it's just a quick fix. While self-pleasuring is really giving yourself love and pleasure and time to yourself. So
Mm.
also switching from that, it also a really good way of finding your sexual self.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, like I coach different women all the time, and a lot of issues that they face is anxiety towards relationships and within relationships. What would you say are some of the causes of anxiety towards and within relationships, and how can that be dealt with and resolved, and how can what you do help to resolve those things?
Mm. I would say it's most likely because the experience of relationships and the experience of men and how they have been treated by men. And I think that is slowly changing. Like we're becoming more aware of how how we should treat each other and also the masculine and feminine, like how we should meet. But many women have like suppressed their feminine side, suppressed their sexuality. They have done, like women say that they are the project managers at work and at home, like they do everything. So women wants to be taken care of by a man. Um, and I think finding your feminine side and trying, I always say like do less, because when you become it, everything starts with you. Like when you become more feminine, you will also attract a man that is more masculine. And also believing, I think self-worth is such a big part of this. Like you have to build your self-worth, because if you believe that you are worthy of love and you are worthy of a good man, then that is what you will attract.
That's right.
So a lot of these women have very low self-worth, and that's also why they attract men who are not good for them.
Excellent, excellent. So you mentioned like women being more feminine and in tune with their feminine self will help them attract a more masculine man. So what about women that like their career has made them to neglect their feminine side because they've been after their career? How can they navigate that and be able to still embrace their femininity when it's been neglected due to their career?
I would say that you have to separate your career and your personal and your person. Like those two are not connected. That's just a role that you play. You should see it as like acting or something. Because society has made us believe that our worth and who we are is what we do at our jobs. We have become confused. So it's like we identify with our work, we identify with our education, but that is not true. So we realize that that is only what we do to make money or to make a difference in the world or whatever we do for work. And remember that to leave that at work. So we can be in our masculine when we are at work, because the masculine energy is also very important. Like that is the energy that actually like drives us. So it's really good to be in that at work. But then as soon as we get off work, we go back home to not just our house, but who we are as person, and the feminine woman that we are. So we can't be the same with the men at work that we are with the man in our life. Like that's totally different relationships. So really important to separate that.
Mm. Would you say that they're putting too much passion into their professional life and not enough passion into their personal life in that sense?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Like identifying with their work and getting all their rewards and
Mm.
getting all their acknowledgement from work, when they should put more emphasis on their private life and their private person, and giving much more energy. And but this is also what society tells us, that we should give everything to work, and then we have nothing to give to ourselves, because then we're tired and we don't have any time.
Excellent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. So, like in the context of human nature, we go out and we like get attracted to people all the time. We find different people attractive, right? So, what's your viewpoint on different relationship types in terms of monogamy versus non-monogamy? Bearing in mind that as human beings, we are attracted to different people all the time.
Mm. I think it's important to ask yourself if you want to be with one person, if you want to be monogamous, or if you feel that you are so. I mean, being attracted to other is very normal and natural. It doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or if you love a person. I mean, that doesn't mean that everyone else becomes ugly or that you can't that your eyes aren't open any longer. But it's a difference to just being attracted to someone and actually wanting to have sex with that person or have a relationship with that person as well. So that's a good question to ask yourself. And also, when you get into the relationship, have that discussion in the beginning. Do you want to be monogamous, or and also have it throughout the relationship, because you can also change. Like after the honeymoon period is over, maybe some people feel, oh yeah, I want that exciting novelty feeling again. So be open to change, but then also that you need to respect each other's wishes and needs, of course. But I don't think you should push yourself into anything, neither monogamy or open relationships or anything. Just don't bother about trends or what anyone else is doing. Just feel like what feels good for you and for your relationship.
Right. So, like, for those people that would like to have that conversation with their partner, possibly about exploring different avenues of the relationship, but they're also afraid of losing their partner in case their partner is not interested. Like, what can they do to overcome that fear, or should they even go ahead and talk to their partner, or what's your opinion on what they can do in that situation when they're afraid to lose their partner?
Mm. I think it's good to bring it up in the beginning, because then that's like when you're putting everything into place. So then the person won't, it's more, how would you say, like, it's more objective then. So it's best to do it in the beginning of a relationship. But then if you feel a couple of years, months into the relationship that you want change and you want to bring it up, then it's to have an open relationship or poly relationship, you really need a foundation, like a very safe and secure relationship for it to make it work. So first of all, like, do you have a safe and a stable relationship? Because if you have, you should be able to talk about these things. Um, and also it's important to that it's coming from a place where it's not the relationship that's lacking. It's just that you would like to experience more or something new. So also how you phrase it, and also making the person feel safe, and also making the person feel that you have a say in this as well. So if you're not interested, then of course we're not going ahead with it. So that no one feels forced.
Okay. So, like you mentioned, if they're not interested, of course they're not going ahead with it. But would that limit the person that wants to go ahead with it, but is now holding themselves back because of the partner? And can that cause issues in the relationship going forward?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've seen where this has led to infidelity, or the couple breaking up.
Hmm. Right. So, like I said before, like let's say that this is the fear that they have that okay, you're saying they should have a strong communication and a balanced relationship so that they can bring up these type of things. So, like in the example that you gave, now they've brought it up, but their partner doesn't want to go ahead with it. Does that now stop them from wanting to explore the life that they want to live for their partner, or how can they? What should they do in that situation?
Mhm. No, I mean, it won't stop them. But then, I mean, some people can feel like, okay, it depends on how strong they feel this. Is it like just it will be fun, or is it like, oh no, I will regret not being able to experience this. Like this will make me suffer. So it depends on where you are on the scale. So if it's on the scale, well, I feel that I'm not whole as a person. I think that I don't think our relationship will last if I'm not able to experience this. Then, of course, you need to talk about it more. And also finding your own way of doing it, because just because you open up your relationship doesn't mean that you're on different dating apps, you go out dating every week. You can find a way that feels okay for both people. And then also there's relationships where not but where only one of the partners are seeing other people and not the other. So just finding a way that works for you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, on the flip side of that, people that have chosen monogamy, like they've chosen that they want to be monogamous and they've been in a monogamous relationship, but something has happened where they have been unfaithful in their relationship and their partner hasn't found out, but it's eating them inside and they don't necessarily want to continue not being honest about what has happened because it's kind of keeping them feeling trapped. Within themselves. Like, how can they go ahead and communicate what's happened to their partner without breaking up the relationship or making it a disastrous situation?
Mm. Well, I think it's very important to to tell this, and to be honest about what happened, but also to you also need to ask what the other person wants to hear and not to hear, like when it comes to details and the reason and so on. But I think to be as honest and open as possible, and also talk about why the person did it, because it's so common that the other person feel that, okay, it's because of me, I'm lacking something, I'm not beautiful or good enough or whatever. But mostly if you are in a relationship and you are seeing someone else, is mostly because it's something within you and not the other person. Because why would you still be with this person if this person is faulty, you know? So just understand, making that person understand that that the person is still loved and still wanting to be in this relationship, but I made this mistake. I made this mistake. I regret this. Like, this is the most terrible thing I've ever done. Um, and I hope that we can get through this. So
Right.
something like that, and then really have an open, honest discussion and answering all the questions that the other person has. And also, if you decide to continue, because this is something that I don't think that you need to break up just because someone's been unfaithful. Like, this is something that people also think, especially women, like, no, you can't continue with a man who's been unfaithful. But that depends on the reason why he's been unfaithful. And but if you decide to continue the relationship, it's really important for him to make the woman or the man, depending on who's been um,
Fatal.
who's messed up.
Yeah.
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 So make the other person feel really safe,
Yeah.
and safe, or like do everything in their power to make the person feel safe. Like, if it means coming home after work every day for a year, not doing anything, then do that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, they've got some making up to do if they've
Yeah.
chosen monogamy and they've done that, and they've
Mm,
now come to be honest. So yeah, it's only fair. It's only fair
mm,
to make up for it.
mm,
Right, right. Like
mm,
when people get into a new relationship, they can feel a lot of like chemistry, a lot of butterflies. They're very excited about this new relationship, and they really want to immerse themselves in this new person that they're with. But some people, along that process, they start to lose their sense of self, whilst immersing themselves in a new relationship. So, how can people immerse themselves in a new relationship without necessarily losing their sense of self in the process?
mm. This is a very interesting question,
Mhm.
because I mean, it's unavoidable. We do, because we merge when we especially if we have a really like close, intimate relationship, we merge into somewhat one person. So it's quite unavoidable in one sense. But then, so it's not only negative, so to say, but losing yourself, like, that's if you don't feel that I know who I am without this person, that's when you've lost yourself. Or if you don't know who I am any longer. So always like finding your truth and who you are, I think that is like the key to feeling really clear on who I am. Like, what do I like and dislike, and how do I want to look, or what are my opinions? What is my moral? My really feeling it inside and
Mm.
not. And I think it's what I see with some couples is that they tend to talk. They say us or we, so avoid that. Like, yes, you are a couple, you're an item, but you're not one person in every way. So stop saying, well, we think, we do this, us.
Mm, 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 mm.
You're still
Yeah,
two people. So don't talk for the other person.
right. Right. So in essence, like embracing yourself as an individual and still understanding your own passions and hobbies and
Yeah.
coming into the relationship, joining together as two individuals rather than being one person.
Mm. I think it's easier to lose yourself if you don't really have a sense of self before.
Mm,
And also, if you are really, it's also comes down to the self-worth I was talking about before. Like, if you really feel like, oh, I really need to feel loved, I will do anything. I will like sacrifice who I am, all my hobbies, everything to just fit in, be accepted, and be loved. So if you're coming from that point of view, then you really need to take a step back.
yeah.
But if you are quite like secure in yourself, and then if you suddenly have the same hobbies as the person you met, then I mean that's fine. But if you go through a complete transformation, like no one recognizes you any longer, then yeah, maybe that's something to think about.
Yeah, yeah, excellent, excellent. As coaches, like we talk to people all the time and we learn different things from the people that we talk to. Like, what would you say were some of the biggest things that you've learned as a coach from people that you've spoken with?
Mm-hmm. Oh God, so many things. Hmm. Actually, one thing that I was very surprised about when I started working as a sexologist, because we don't talk about sex that much, and because you maybe tend to surround yourself with people who are, pretty similar to yourself. So I did not realize how many women felt that they are like broken in their sexuality, who felt that they don't have a sexuality, that they're not sexual beings. That was pretty shocking for me, actually, because this was not my experience of my sexuality. So I think that was like the biggest lesson for me. Like, wow, this is where we need to start when it comes to many women, just realizing that they are sexual human beings and that they are not broken. There's nothing wrong with them.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, Sophia, it's been great speaking with you. Thank you so much for everything that you've shared. Where can people find you, find out more about you, and find out more about what you do?
Hmm. Well, right now I am on LinkedIn. I'm not very, very active there. So I would say that the best place to find me is on Instagram. And I just need to check my name because I have to change my name because I'm like always, it's hard to communicate these things on Instagram. Like, there's so much censorship.
Mm.
So I can't write that I'm a sexologist, even though it's a university education. So my name is Safia, and then sexologist, but without the E. So SXologist
Okay, excellent.
um, on Instagram. So that's where you can find me.
Okay. And for the viewers, all of that information will be in the description below, so you can get in contact with Sophia as well. Once again, Sophia, thank you so much for coming on. And are there any last words that you'd like to say before we end the session?
No, just that this was a great podcast. So thank you so much for having me as a guest here.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you so much, Sophia. You take care now.